Hey guys, so I've actually had quite a few experiences with people giving prophetic words to me, and honestly, some of them have resonated, and others definitely didn't, and they fell flat. But there was one instance in particular. This is a um, more recent instance. There's this conference here in Pasadena that I went to called the Revival Alliance Conference, and there were a bunch of teachers basically teaching on the Holy Spirit, Bill Johnson and Heidi Baker, and it was a prophetic conference. And so during the conference, I actually had my dad there. He flew down from Washington, and we went to the conference together. And we had a pastor come up to us. We were worshiping, and this pastor was standing next to us. And afterwards, we sat down, listened to the speaker, and then we had this pastor come up to us and basically ask if he could pray for my dad and I specifically. And he said that basically he got a word from God, and he wanted to pray over us. And basically his prayer consisted of giving a prophetic word about me preaching and being a pastor, and how everything that was meant for my dad would be carried on in my life. And what was crazy is that afterwards my dad, he said, you know what, I have something to tell you that I have been keeping to myself, and I haven't felt like it's the time to tell you this, but now I do. And he basically told me that he's known that I was going to be in ministry his entire life. As a baby, I almost died. There was a valve in my heart that didn't close, and my dad, he broke down and had a conversation with God, and basically he told me that he dedicated my life to the Lord and to ministry, and he said he's just always known that I was going to be a pastor. And even when I was off the rails, bartending, living a crazy life, he said he still always knew I was going to be a pastor, and that now he felt released to be able to tell me that. He said even when I got into Fuller, he didn't want to tell me that, because he didn't want it to influence anything in my journey into ministry. But I also remember, because he said that, it jarred a memory of when I was a kid. I was at a charismatic conference, and I remember this woman turning around and asking me what I want to be when I grow up. And I was like 12 years old, and I was like, I don't know. I wasn't really pursuing a relationship with God then. And she said, well, I think you're going to be a pastor. And I just kind of was like, okay. To me, like, at the time, I didn't know. I thought pastors couldn't get married. I thought, because I was in the Catholic Church, I was like, priest, not for me. But then again, at Foursquare Church, this happened with a guy. While we were sitting in service, he turned around, and we had the same exact encounter. And he basically told me that he felt like I was going to be a pastor. And the whole time I'm thinking, this is crazy, because I never wanted to be in ministry, even until, a year and a half ago. So every time somebody would tell me that, I'm just like, okay, that's actually the last thing I want to do. But yeah, that was the most recent time where it was interesting that it led to other instances where people gave me prophetic words about being in ministry, and well, here I am. So it's kind of crazy. I'm sure there are more drastic examples I could come up with, but that was the most recent one for me. So thought I'd share it.